Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing great. And I wasn't planning on doing a live stream tonight, but I had no choice because the cat is out the bag with something, and I need to talk to you about it urgently. So, welcome to those of you in the stream. I've only put a link out to the Telegram group at this stage. And if you look at the headline for this video, it's whether stage 15 load shedding is possible. The Eskom CEO, Andre de Ruyter, has actually made a statement that we would have to go to stage 15 load shedding if the coal-fired power stations have to be shut down due to the air quality regulations that they might be violating due to a high court ruling. So we as a country decided that we're going to stick to certain protocols. Our president went and signed these protocols, international protocols, and because of these international protocols, Eskom is now in a situation where they might have to shut down most of their coal fleet immediately. Okay, I want you to understand what this means. So I'm going to refer to an article that's linked in the description below this video in News 24 now to just explain to you so that you understand. Please share this video with your friends and family. If you come in late, you need to share this, okay? Because I'm going to explain the details for you. And now that the cat is out of the bag, I've known about this for many years, but now it is at a crisis point. So if you thought that things were bad, to voluntarily, because of air pollution, that air pollution controls that we have ascribed to internationally, that they don't ascribe to, but they want us to ascribe to, our government is forcing Eskom to shut down most of its coal fleet. In other words, any plant that hasn't got desulfurization built in has to be shut down, or Eskom has to spend 300 billion to put desulfurization in on these plants. And we could lose up to 16,000 megawatts immediately. I want you to understand what this means. Now, I don't believe this is going to happen, but this is what should happen based on law currently and, government. What they sign overseas, they've lost their minds because they don't understand the repercussions of these things. And I'm going to explain this to you now so that you understand properly. So we need lots of people to watch this. This is very serious. So I'm going to start working through this article and explaining it to you. It's a News 24 article where it says Eskom risks unprecedented load shedding if it has to meet air quality standards immediately, says the writer. So Eskom has to meet it immediately by law. But if it does that, we will have to go to stage 15 load shedding. Now, as Andre de Ruyter has explained before, that Eskom only plans up to stage 8. Beyond that, you can't manage it within the cities and towns, etc. anymore. Okay, let me make that clear. It becomes difficult for municipalities to manage more than 8,000 megawatts. Why? Because 8,000 megawatts is more or less what us, the citizens, consume. The rest is industry. This is why Eskom does not plan beyond 8,000 megawatts. Okay, so just for you to understand the situation, it says it would cost Eskom about 300 billion to make its existing coal fleet compliant with air quality standards. The alternative is to decommission plants, which could lead to stage 15 load shedding, Eskom's modeling shows. So it's modeling. Eskom can't really go and do that. As Andre de Ruyter has explained before, we can go to stage 8. Remember, Andre, everything he says comes from government. It's what government's telling him to do. And you're going to see that there's zero plans to put in new nuclear, put in new gas. None of these plans are on the cards. And you need to start putting pressure on government, on social media, wherever you can, that we need to start building baseload. We are going to be in serious trouble. And Andre is secretly giving you the maths here, okay? And I want you to go and do the sums. So I want you to go to this News 24 article that I've linked in the description below this video, and I'm going to give you the link right now so you can look at it with me as we go through this so that you can see for yourself. So here's the link to the article, and then do the maths on what he says the government is saying we need to install as renewables at this stage. And you're going to see we're coming nowhere near where we need to be at to actually supply the whole grid, all industry, nowhere near. It will lead to a complete and utter disaster, and it will be a voluntary one. So government has to change their tune. I mean, they cannot force Eskom to shut down 15,000 megawatts worth of coal-fired power stations immediately. But by law, they are supposed to do it right now. And many people will scream for that. And I don't know how you feel about that, or what you actually would do to stop those people from influencing government. But you need to start speaking out. Okay, I can't do it on my own. You need to start saying things, and you need to start saying it urgently. So let's look at what is actually happening here. Okay. Eskom believes adding new renewable energy capacity is a better solution that can still support jobs. This is to replace the coal-fired power stations, okay? Not the entire grid. So this is what Eskom believes at this stage, and this is 15,000 megawatts, and certainly you can get 15,000 megawatts from renewables, put battery backup in, it's going to cost a fortune. But they believe that that is better than to go and spend 300 billion on refurbishing old coal-fired power stations. So I haven't done the maths on that, but this is a very bad situation to be in, period. Meeting air quality standards would warrant Eskom decommissioning as much as 16 gigawatts. That's 16,000 megawatts of its coal-fired power stations immediately. I want you to understand that. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now, by law, which could exacerbate load shedding to unprecedented stages, according to CEO Andre de Ruyter. So he's absolutely correct. By law, those stations should be shut down because of air quality standards. De Ruyter on Wednesday, and this is not that they've gotten worse. These are new standards set internationally, which those countries are not living by, but they're expecting us to do it. And you know that Cyril Ramaphosa went to the US, and Biden said that we will help you with this just transition, and we're going to make sure that you get rid of your coal-fired power stations early. De Ruyter on Wednesday laid out Eskom's vision for just energy transition at the African Renewables Investment Summit held in Cape Town. Remember, he can only do what the government tells him to do. For Eskom, it is unlikely new coal power projects will be built. So they're saying new coal ain't going to happen. You will hear nothing about new nuclear. You will hear nothing about gas. So zero new baseload will be built. They're up to 4 times the cost of renewable, like wind and solar, take up to 10 to 12 years to become operable, and would negatively impact the competitiveness of South African exporters, who will face taxes for the carbon content of their products. So in this new world that we're living in now, this new world order, our products being exported, being produced by electricity that the international world is saying is dirty, although we have to choke on the air, they are going to tax us on that. So understand what that means. So maybe we should just supply ourselves with what we need and stuff the rest. The power utility, however, is battling with aging coal plants which are unreliable and have resulted in unplanned breakdowns that contribute to load shedding. What's more, Eskom's existing fleet is not compliant, and here's the thing, with minimum emission standards. A High Court earlier this year, and this is the crux, ruled that the poor air quality in the Highveld priority area, which covers part of the Gauteng and Mpumalanga, and where 12 of the Eskom's power stations are based, violates human rights. So under our constitution, these coal-fired power stations should be shut down immediately. Understand what is happening here, people. To meet the emission requirements, Eskom would have to decommission as much as 16 gigawatts immediately, 16,000 megawatts. Now, can you write that on a piece of paper? This is absolute abject insanity that is going down at the moment, which would add to load shedding woes. The rate won't add to woes. There won't be a grid left. De Ruyter explained Eskom's modeling shows that 30,000 gigawatts, 30,000 megawatts or 30 gigawatts would have to be decommissioned by 2025 to meet the requirements. Now, I told you by 2040 we would have to rebuild everything, but based on this air quality situation, we would have to get rid of 30,000 megawatts by 2025. that is in 2.5 years' time. This would translate into 100,000 job losses and stage 15 load shedding. That is hypothetical. Okay. Eskom doesn't actually plan to go to that level of load shedding. You can't run a grid like that. This is insanity. The alternative is to retrofit the stations with technologies that remove carbon and sulfur dioxide emissions. Some of the Eskom stations are outfitted with this, but at 300 billion cost, it's a cost Eskom can't take on. And if it did, it would be passed through consumers in electricity tariffs. So you would pay more for electricity. But putting batteries onto solar as well as wind is going to cost a fortune too. With 300 billion, you could build a couple of nuclear power station units that could run for the next 60 years. You could put in gas pipelines to supply Ankerich and Gerikwa so that they can run non-stop on gas instead of diesel, which will bring the cost down drastically. And it says here, we will have cleaner air, but it will come at a significant cost. And then they speak about decommissioning stations, and they speak about Komati here, that they can't keep Komati going. The power utility plans to soon decommission the last unit at Komati, which started operating in 1961. 61. So it's been running for 60 years already. Even if Eskom wanted to keep the unit going beyond October, it would not be legal to do so, explained the writer, as it is becoming unsafe to operate, which would make the power utility liable for any accidents. Eskom has been running a program to repurpose the station, and this won't be the only one. Listen to this. With 150 megawatts of solar, 70 megawatts of wind, and 150 megawatts of battery storage capacity. And I told you I will do a dedicated live stream just on that process and who's involved, the Rockefellers, etc. Okay. It also recently secured about 38 million in funding to establish a training center at Komati to help reskill and upskill workers and the surrounding communities to participate in the renewable energy industry. So they're trying to transition them from coal to renewables. Now, I don't know who's going to be buffing the bottom of the wind turbines every day or cleaning the solar panels every day. I don't see jobs running around at these wind farms or at these solar installations. They've said in the past that there would be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of jobs. Do you see any of those jobs happening? Eskom's solution is to support renewables rollout, which can help reduce emissions while also bulking up available generation capacity and ensuring job creation. Now, here's the maths that I want you to add up. So 16,000 megawatts that we can lose immediately, okay? But these are the efforts to get more power onto the grid. Listen to this. Among these efforts include leasing of the land to renewable energy producers. Eskom expect to sign agreements within the next 2 years would add to about 2,000 megawatts to the grid. 2,000 megawatts versus 16,000. Eskom has also launched 3 procurement programs to add 1,000 megawatts to the grid on an urgent basis. 3,000 megawatts. The power utility also expects additional capacity to come from Kusile once it is complete. That will add 1,440 megawatts. So 4,440 megawatts, people. We are not even a third there. Eskom also wants to revive a plan for 3,500 megawatts of pumped storage project beyond 2024. How much is that pumped storage going to cost? I would like them to tell us how much that pumped storage is going to cost, because that is only for peak load. It is not a base load setup. I hope people could understand that. So that is not something that could run non-stop. None of this can run non-stop. So how much of the time are you going to have this available? You might be lucky to have 2,000 megawatts available at any given point in time from this. Maybe during peak times you can use some of this. What about the baseload capacity? Government, I want you to tell me, where is the baseload going to come from? Other sources of capacity besides Eskom includes municipalities set to procure as much as 1,500 megawatts from independent power producers. Come on. Is that going to be baseload? Is it going to be solar? Is it going to be wind? What is it going to be? How are we going to survive this twak? When large industrial users like Cecil and mining companies finalize their power solutions, it will also ease pressure on the grid. So what they're saying is these industries need to supply their own power. I'm telling you now, they are not planning on increasing the supply capacity. They are planning for the fourth industrial revolution. I want you to read between the lines and really understand what we are up against. I'll put the article link there for you to read again and actually understand it. So Eskom is at this point in time supposed to immediately shut down by law, based on a high court order, okay, 16,000 megawatts of coal-fired power stations. So how do you feel about this, people? Annette Treater says she has a brain strip, a brick strip. I understand that, Annette. Really, this is not funny anymore. So you will see zero talk at this stage of any baseload being built, which can only be at this stage be coal, be nuclear or gas. That's the only baseload you get around the world at the moment. Because solar is not baseload. Wind is not baseload. We don't have batteries that can make it baseload yet. If we do, it's a different story, but the cost will be through the roof. And this is what people don't understand. They'll just look at the cost of the wind turbine. They won't look at the cost of the transmission lines that has to run to it. That doesn't exist currently. When the writer said that we have to spend over 200 billion now in transmission lines to these new places. They won't tell you that. So I'm utterly the bliksem right now. I'm not happy, chappy. The fact that it comes out like this in the media, you know, the media only reports what they are told. The writer has to do what he's told. But someone needs to stand up and say that the renewables cannot do this, cannot replace 16,000 megawatts. What they are planning is not enough. It's a joke. So people, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Welcome to the 400 of you that's watching. If you've missed the beginning of this video, please go to the start and watch what this is about. I'm really upset right now, and I hope that some sanity prevails, because there's 400 of you. Go and speak on social media about this. Say something. Tell the government that you're unhappy. Write to Eskom. Do something. But we have to build baseload capacity. If we want to maintain a semblance of industry in this country, normal jobs, don't believe that with wind turbines and solar panels, you're going to have 10,000s of jobs. What are the people going to do? I've not once driven past any solar installation or wind installation and seen 2,000 people running around there like they do at Koeberg Nuclear Power Station, where it's producing almost 1,900 megawatts. Anyway, so people, I'm very, very frustrated. I'll put a link to this article in the first comment after the live stream now as well. South African, what we can do to fight this is literally put pressure on government to build baseload capacity. We need baseload. We need baseload. If we don't build baseload, no one's talking about this. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's insane. So by law, just understand that by law, we are supposed to right now shut down 16,000 megawatts worth of capacity. So when I say is stage 15 load shedding possible, according to theoretical understanding, absolutely it's what it will take once we have to shut that down. But you can't run at stage 15 load shedding. We will be shedding entire provinces. It won't be your city council switching off areas anymore, because 8,000 megawatts is what the citizens of South Africa consume. So Eskom is not concerned beyond that, because that affects industry. We consume that 8,000 megawatts. And that is why Eskom is only concerned up to that point, and rightfully so. We are the people that are being load shed. Industry has been load shed long before the public had been load shed. Load shedding started in 2002 already. Then they were load shedding the big smelters, Mosul, Bosal, all of those smelters were load shed then already. You would see 100 megawatts, 200 megawatts coming off for Eskom grid to cope. Then, 4 years after the white paper came out that said we should start building new capacity by 2002. What did they do? Nothing. They did nothing. They're still doing nothing. They're doing nothing. They are arguing about board positions. I wonder who they're going to put there. More cadres. I have no idea what they're going to do. And there is not a single political party in parliament that is speaking about a true solution because they don't have the technical capacity to give it at all. And all you will see is a bunch of people that want secession in Cape Town. With what power? With what are you going to do that? So, yeah, very complicated situation. You need to feel what is going to happen with the situation that Eskom is in now. I mean, is the writer now supposed to give an instruction for those units to be shut down? There, he said to Parliament, we are supposed to shut all of this down right now. I don't want this to carry on for much longer because then other people won't watch it. I want as many people to watch this as possible. I need my blood pressure to cool down right now. I'm really upset. I will put a link to this article in the description below this video. Please just tell your friends or whoever you can find that we need to build baseload. Go and study what wind turbines and solar is going to bring us if that becomes the 15, 16,000 megawatts. You can see already that that is not the case right now. That is not even what they are planning. They are not even planning 16,000 megawatts worth of renewable energy. I just did the maths for you. We are talking about just over 4,000 megawatts. They actually don't know what to do. It is ridiculous. And the thing is, government is supposed to tell Eskom what to do. Eskom can't decide for themselves. Since 1994, Eskom has not been able to make any decisions for themselves. Technicians, engineers can't make decisions. It's all political. So, yes, people, that is what I wanted to bring you. Thanks to the 461 people watching now, 460 people. Please share this with your friends and family. Go and watch this video from the beginning and read that article and understand what it means. We cannot carry on with this twack. I mean, I cannot believe that Eskom will just go and shut down those units. But now, are they going to pay the fines? Are we going to foot the bill for the fines? What is going to happen? This is madness. That our own courts are destroying the country. I mean, yeah. You know, the next Mampara will just take over Ungers. What will the next Mampara look like? We need a complete system change. There's nothing else that's going to work. And the Oaks that want to run into the bush and go and hide, that's hooked up with the UN at the hip. How on earth are you going to help yourself with anything like that? We actually need a functioning country. We actually need a military that can defend itself. Defend the country, never mind itself. They can't even sort out the people in the country if they have to. They can't even sort themselves out on their own basis. Our police can't even sort themselves out. So we need a new system where we can build up a strong military, build up a strong schooling system where we can actually educate people. And the current schooling system makes that impossible. That can go into governance one day and actually make rational decisions. Okay, I'm going to say goodnight now. Thanks to all of you that have joined. Please go and read the article. Watch the video from the beginning to end. I go into the detail. People, go on your social media platforms. Go and do your own research, please. You don't have to believe a word that I'm saying. Do your own research and become your own warrior for baseload. We need baseload desperately. Desperately. We must build those gas pipelines. We need to put in additional nuclear units. If we can do that, it'll give us baseload. We need baseload. Okay, thanks everyone. Good night.